Okay, welcome to Soul Sorcery, how to expand and develop your psychic ability. I am offering this free webinar because I'm launching this seriously ridiculous course in May about just amping up every aspect of yourself with all these really delicious, juicy tools so that you guys can actualize yourself on a soul level. I know all that sounds ridiculously woo-woo, but in actuality, at this stage in our evolution of humanity, I hope that you guys are de-wooing these things for yourself, and starting to understand that you are more than just the five senses that you have. You're more than the physical body that you're habiting, and that we are all part of something much grander than our own individuality. And that's kind of where psychic ability and you kind of meet up. That's the corner where you guys are going to hang out today. So before I drop into more information on psychic ability and talk about sort of different ways you can be psychic and drop into tools of how you guys can be more psychic, I need to explain and just assume that all of you don't understand sort of the general and energetic architecture of how you're wired. When you understand that, it may be a little easier for you guys to expand your wisdom and understanding into psychic ability, and maybe it won't feel so woo and so foreign. So let's drop into your energetic system. What I'm about to share with you isn't necessarily woo-woo, it's actually physics. So science and woo-woo-ness have connected. And that is this: every single thing about you is energetic. And when I say everything about you is energetic, I literally mean every single thing about you is energetic. So you have a series of vibrational frequencies that make you up. You have a physical body, which has weight and mass, and it has electric energy. When we look at you atomically under a microscope at your physical system, we're going to see wave and light patterns. And just like a battery, your physical system has a positive and negative charge and electrical energy that it's giving off. It can get drained and it can get charged, just like a battery. Independent of your physical, energetic, electrical system, you have three other non-physical systems that are subtle fields. Again, they're all independent of each other, but they all talk to each other. Those independent fields make up the emotional system, your mental system, and your etheric field. And even though these systems are separate, they all talk to each other and share information, kind of like a computer sharing software information. And where they meet and where they exchange data for information is in the chakra system. And for those of you that are not familiar with chakras, that's just Sanskrit. It means wheel. It's wheel of light. And you have portals of energy bridges running up the midsection of your body. And I will call out 7 today, but there are many chakra systems. In fact, if you talk to my Reiki teacher, he'll tell you every cell in your body is a chakra, because it is exchanging energy. And that's really what chakras do. So you have your first chakra is at your root, which is at the base of your spine. Your second chakra is in the lower abdominal. Third chakra is in the stomach. I'm going to see if I can is in your torso. Fourth chakra is in your heart. Fifth is in your throat. The sixth they show on the forehead, but it's actually between the right and left hemisphere of the brain. Two glands, the pituitary and pineal gland, are the sixth chakra, and then you have your crown. These energy systems map up to organs in your body. They map up to developmental stages. They map up to color. They map up to symbols. They map up to sound frequencies. There's so much dimensional connection through your chakra system. And through this electrical magnetic field, again, your body's electric and your subtle fields are magnetic in energy. They have no weight and mass and they are magnetic. You are an electrical magnetic body. Your lower three chakras, first, second, and third, they're getting their charge up from the earth grid. So the earth itself is a body. She has chakras just like us. She has consciousness. She has subtle bodies and a physical body. And she's like a big docking station that we sit on, and that energy charges us from the first, second, and third. When we get to the fourth chakra, this is kind of our gateway drug, and it takes that earth energy and it kind of exchanges it with the universal energy that's coming in through the top three chakras, your seventh, your sixth, and your fifth. Okay. And the universal field is connecting you into the grid where everything is one. So if you look at your body, you're kind of heaven on earth. And I like to tell people your body's like a tree. The trunk of your tree is your experience of your conscious world walking around. Your lower body, your lower chakras are your rooting system. How deep do your roots go? How connected and grounded are you into the earth? And then your top chakras are your canopy. How far up are you connecting into something higher than yourself? The universal field, God, Yahweh, whatever we want to call it. And oftentimes, when I'm connecting with people from a healing standpoint, I'm seeing something off in some part of this system, some part of the energetic field or field, some part of the chakra systems, etc. And this will stop the flow of energy. So when we talk about expanding more into your psychic ability, what we're talking about is expanding into your experience of your sensitivity, your experience of the energy fields that make up all of you, physical, emotional, mental, and etheric. So when we talk about expanding into that, you're talking about actually expanding into your experience of yourself as more of an energetic being, as opposed to something that is limited or simply physical. Now, I'm going to drop more into that in just a moment, but I want to take 2 steps back. I see some of you that are on the call, and some of you I know very well, and some of you I may not know as well as I know others. And so I'm going to make some assumptions. It's everybody's at the baseline. So forgive me if I'm saying stuff that you already know. Stay with me. We'll catch up and we'll go a little further. But baseline, everyone is psychic, period. Even if you don't realize that you're psychic, you are psychic. It comes with the operating system of your body. It's impossible that you're not psychic. And what does that mean to be psychic? It means to be sensitive. It means to be able to read energetic data and translate that energetic data into a thought or feeling or an experience. Now, I can't imagine any of you hasn't had the feeling of somebody walking up behind you and you immediately having a vibe of how you feel about that person walking up behind you, whether you have a good vibe or a bad vibe or a super awesome vibe. But you've all had that experience where you are reading the energy of something or someone you can't see. How many of you guys have walked into a house, a restaurant, a room, and felt quote unquote uncomfortable, or maybe felt really happy, or maybe felt really calm? Again, this is you, your energetic system, your sensitive system reading the room. What my hope and intention for you in today's class is, I want to expand you into more of your understanding of your sensitivity. I want to give you some tools of how you can go further in that, no matter where you're standing right now. And I want to start by explaining the different ways that you can read or translate energy. Now, the most common that everybody's pretty aware of is clairvoyancy, right? Clear seeing. That's what clair is in French, clear. So clairvoyancy is clear seeing, right? That's a common one for psychics. But we have tons of clairs. So there is clairvoyancy, being able to see something that is not in the physical world, being able to see with your subtle eye. There is claircognizance, clear knowing. And that just is experienced as almost as fast as the speed of light, just knowing things and not knowing how you know them. Some of you, the people that I've met that are claircognizant, half the time they're so used to going so fast with their knowingness that they're not even realizing that that's not something that would have been obvious. It's just almost an innate ability. When I see people that have claircognizance, I usually see people that are entrepreneurs, pioneers, inventors, architects, people that are kind of on the edges of pushing the boundaries of things, because their clear knowing ability allows them to navigate and make decisions very, very quickly, almost at the speed of light. And so they tend to hit things where they're going to need to push boundaries, and that ability supports that. There is clairaudience, and that is clear hearing. And clairaudience comes to you through your 5th chakra, your throat chakra. Clairvoyancy comes to you through your 6th chakra. Claircognizance through your 7th chakra. Okay. So we talk about clear hearing. Some people experience it as a still small voice. Some people experience it as I've experienced it, where it literally sounds like somebody's adjusting a radio dial in your head and you actually hear sounds as though there's a speaker system inside of you. I've heard Buddhist chanting and singing. I've heard angels. I've heard people having full conversations with me. I've heard static. I've heard all kinds of stuff. But it also can be experienced again. It's almost like you're hearing information, almost like somebody's giving you the information through your auditory field. Um, then there is clairsentient. That is a fourth chakra ability. That's clear feeling. Clairsentient is one of mine, and I've got it pretty big. So clairsentient is being able to, you're feeling the emotions of things, you're feeling into the energy of things, and you're experiencing it in the emotional body. And then there is, and forgive me, I don't know the name of it. There's one called for touching. There's people that when they touch an object, they get all of these impressions and information simply by touching something. There's also one for smell. My mom has it. She'll smell the weird certain smell of a cigar or cigarette, and it's her dad. He had this certain kind of brand that he would smoke, and she knows when she smells that, oh, my dad's around. So all of these abilities allow you, again, what you're doing is you are feeling the energy of the experience around you or in the experience that's in the universal field, and you are translating that energy and so that you can get information. That's basically psychic ability. Now, everybody, again, is psychic, and most of you have more than one ability. I have yet to meet somebody who only has one clair. We typically have them in bundles. For example, I am empathic or empathetic, empathic, and clairsentient. I am clairaudient, and I'm clairvoyant. Now, when I was younger, it was all visual. Oh my God, it was visual. And the feeling was second, and the hearing was the last little bitty thing I had. And when I was younger, I got really kind of overwhelmed by all of that visual. And I started trying to like almost put like a patch over it or break it so I couldn't see stuff anymore because it freaked me out. I didn't understand it. And as a result of that, like a blind person, my hearing got really strong. So now my clairaudient and my clairsentient are almost the same intensity, and my clairvoyance is the last one that comes in. So I feel something first, I hear stuff, and then I see stuff. So part of the thing that I'm going to want you guys to do as we walk through this class is, and you don't have to do it live, you guys can do it later. You can rewatch this broadcast and you can think about it, or maybe you can think about it later tonight or over the next week. What you want to do is you want to slow down your experience when you've had experiences where you have felt, known, seen, heard, smelled, touched something, and quote unquote known something that couldn't be known. And what you want to do is you want to slow the reel down and discover, how did you come to that information? Did you feel something and that prompted something that kind of showed up as a picture? Did you kind of get a prompt in your head where you just kind of knew something and then you felt something? Did you have a weird taste in your mouth and then that made it prompt you something? Did you smell something that wasn't there and all of a sudden that opened up stuff? You're wanting to just understand sort of, how are you experiencing energy? You can even do it as a test. You can have, people in your family just say, okay, I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to stand way over here. You guys move somebody up, somebody behind me. Don't tell me who it is. And let me feel into that, or let me see into that, or let me hear into that, or let me know into that. And you can start testing yourself in this way. Another way you can do it is you can find something where you may not know the answer, i.e., the phone's going to ring and you're going to try to determine who's on the phone. Start checking to see, where do you go when you're trying to find information that's not readily available? What turns on for you in terms of how you're discerning what's happening? And write down the sensations that you're getting, and this will start pointing you in the direction of how you are oriented. Now, regardless of what your innate psychic abilities are, and regardless of the level of your psychic abilities, know that like anything, you can expand it and you can grow it. And all it takes is practice, patience, belief, and trust. So, the first thing that you need to sort of connect to in terms of expanding your psychic ability is you need to drop into the reality that you are psychic. And you have to watch your language. There's a big difference between saying, yeah, I sometimes pick up on stuff, versus, yes, I'm psychic. Whoa, big difference between the two. And so when you start even having the thought in your head, I'm psychic, think about it from this point, because everything in you is energetic. Every part of you is energetic. That means your thoughts are also energetic. And if you have the thought in of, maybe I'm psychic, okay, you're going to experience maybe I'm psychic. If you have the thought that says, nah, I don't think I'm psychic, well, guess what? That's going to be your experience. If you start focusing your energy on the idea or the thought, I am psychic, you're going to expand and experience more of that. And then you're going to watch synchronicity line up for you, and you're going to get all these little moments where you're like, oh my God, I knew she was going to say that, or I knew that was going to happen, or I knew that was, they were going to call, or I knew. And you'll start going, wow, that feeds the belief. And that's the second part of it. The thought kind of opens the door, the belief helps you walk into the room. So you need to kind of fake it till you make it. You need to try on the coat of I am psychic, and you need to wear it for a couple weeks, and you need to play and explore in that energy. When I first started, for me, from the moment I can't even remember when time I wasn't. So, I'm a certain breed of psychics. Okay. People drop into psychic ability in all different ways. I just happen to have had it from as far back as I can recall. And even for me, I would try to negate that because I didn't want to seem weird. I didn't want to be wrong. I didn't want the responsibility. So if any of you have felt at different points in your life that you have this ability, but you weren't quite sure how to operate that or how to control it, meaning, well, I want to be psychic, but just for when I want parking spots. I don't want to be psychic for when my Aunt Susie, who's crossed over, wants to have a conversation with me. I just want to be psychic for parking spots. And the way it works with psychic ability, like everything in the universe, it wants to expand. And so when our ability starts to grow and we start to try to contain it or throttle it, it's going to grow the other way. It's going to retract. And so instead of retracting your psychic ability out of fear of the unknown or fear of, I don't want to experience something that I don't understand, it would be wiser for you to start lining your thought patterns with the energy of, I am safe, I am guided, and I am protected. And all the energy that moves through my field serves my highest good and the highest good of those around me. And in that way, you're constantly rotating a frequency within yourself of alignment. Now, the other thing I want to talk about before we start talking into expansion is I want to explain to you, now that you understand wholeheartedly that you are entirely energetic, it's really important for you when you are trying to pick up on and read energy and you're trying to translate that data, that you want to make sure that you are in a balanced, neutral, grounded state. Otherwise, that energy data will go through the filter of your wonkiness, and the information that comes out on the other side is wonky. So a baseline for dropping into your psychic ability is actually dropping into your own field and learning how to balance out your own energy, ground your own energy, and expand into your own frequency from an energetic place. So I'm going to try to break that down a little. Grounding. As we've talked about at the beginning, you're a series of these fields, and they're all talking to each other. And our lower three chakras are getting their energy and their recharge from the earth grid. When we don't have that recharge, at the very least, we have a low battery. But also, think about how your body feels when you're really hungry or dehydrated. Your mind doesn't work as well. You feel a little bit hangry. You're kind of off in all levels when your body's not what we would call balanced. The same works for reading psychic energy. So, a baseline tool for expanding into more of your energetic self is you need to practice the art of grounding on a daily basis. And this doesn't have to be some big, to do practice. This is something simple. It can be simple as doing 5 to 6 sun salutations when you get out of the bed in the morning. If you don't know what a sun salutation is, just go onto YouTube when we get done today, look up sun salutation. It's a super simple, easy yoga move. And what it does is it bends your body down and it pulls energy up through the feet, up through the torso, up through the top, all with breath. You're connecting into the ground, you're moving energy and breath all the way through the full system, and then you're bending down again. Another grounding technique that I love is walking. And when you walk as a grounding tool, you want to be present in your body. You're not walking to go and do your to-do list for the day, or, replay an argument that you have with somebody, or, fantasize about that next new car you're going to buy. You want to be in your physical system. You want to be very present in your body. That's the point of grounding. It's bringing you into the physical form and creating that connection through mindfulness. So when you're walking, you want to feel your feet touching the ground. You want to feel your legs moving. You want to be looking around and noticing things around you that are of the earth world: tree, bird, sky, dog, grass. And if you want to take it one step further, you can listen to grounding sound, and that will create an even deeper resonance of grounding. Now, a grounding sound for the root chakra is the sound of rain and thunder. Another grounding sound is the sound of oceans. In fact, any sound of nature is going to be very grounding. I just know that the sound of rain and thunder is a very powerful one, and it's one I use a lot. And so when you're grounded, what happens is you feel, again, this very strong kind of resonance right here in your lower third. It's kind of like, think of again, the tree metaphor. Trunk is your experience of your day-to-day world, right? Big trunk. And if you're not grounded, you've got tiny roots. So if I got a big trunky tree with a really high canopy, I'm really trying to reach the top highest. I'm really trying to go as high as I can in my God self, my psychic self. My roots are really tiny. I'm going to be able to walk up to you and just poke you, and you're going to tip right out. The cheese is going to fall right off your cracker. Conversely, when you are very grounded, which means that energy is going very far into the earth grid, you're going to have a really hard time having somebody knock you over, even if there's lots of stuff going on around you. And that's what you have to do if you're doing psychic interpretation, or you're using your psychic ability on a consistent basis. You need to stay really grounded. Now, there's another really powerful way to ground. Actually, there's a couple more that I'll share with you. Anything you do with your hands is very grounding, right? Cooking, gardening, any kind of art, pottery. You can get grounded doing the dishes. I know that sounds crazy, but you can, because you're using your hands, and there's like a body, mind, and kind of soul connection when you're in that space, and it creates that unification. It pulls you into your physicality. That's what grounding does. Another way that you can ground is using breath work, but you want to be very specific about the breath work. And I'm going to show you a very, very simple breath technique. I actually learned it from a gal who does biofield tuning, and she recommends it for all her clients. After she gets them off her table, she's just spun them out into the universe with all this amazing sound, and they're all like drunk on all this amazing energy. And before they leave her studio, she wants to make sure they are in their body, they can drive a vehicle, they are quote unquote grounded. So here's what it looks like. I'm going to take my glasses off for just a second. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a nice deep inhale through your nose, as strong as you can, all the way up. I'll give you an example in just a moment. I'll walk you through it first. You're going to inhale really strong. You're going to hold it for the count of 1, 2, 3, and you're going to release it through your mouth audibly. And when you do, you're going to imagine energy or color moving down your legs, down through the bottoms of your feet, all the way into the earth. So it looks something like this. I'll do one more. It is crazy how fast that exercise will pull you right into neutral. And that's what grounding does. It pulls you right into neutral. The cool thing about that breath exercise that I just showed you is that it also pulls you into something called neutral mind. It's a great exercise to do when you're feeling anxiety, when you're experiencing the fight or flight, when you feel a little spacey, when you feel like you're out of touch with your body and your surroundings. That breath technique will bring you immediately into center. 4, 5, 6 of those, and you're going to be right here. And you're going to feel a tingling thing as you do the exercise, is that the energy just kind of cleanses you and brings you to center. So that's a great grab and go grounding technique. And believe me, there are so many. So if any of the ones that I've shared are not something that intrigues you, go online and look up grounding techniques and start practicing. Again, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, where this isn't like a big thing. Just when you get in the habit of grounding every day, it's going to make a huge difference. If any of you know me, you know that I'm a big fan of small things done consistently over time make huge changes. I'm not about, dropping out of your life for an hour to 2 hours a day, because it's not reasonable on a consistent basis. And it's only things we do consistently that will start to pattern in our field and create massive changes as we move forward. So, grounding. The other thing that you're going to want to practice to increase your energetic sensitivity is you want to practice on releasing your focus and attention towards what's outside of you. And you're going to want to learn how to take that focus and attention and start moving that on the inside of you. And the 4-letter word I'm about to say is meditation. And I know that that really kind of weirds people out and it overwhelms them sometimes, because meditation it just seems like you're sitting crisscross applesauce for minutes and hours on end trying not to think your thoughts. That's not really what meditation is. What meditation is, it is slowing down the mind, and it is taking your focus from outside yourself to inside yourself, and it is just like flowing with breath. Here's a very, very simple meditative technique that you can do that's a great gateway to dropping into a meditative practice. I'm sure all of you have been to the ocean at some point in your life. And when you're at the ocean and you're watching the waves, there is this incredible tempo. As the waves are moving away from you, from the shore, and then curling back up. And then they move away from the shore, and then they're curling back up. And if you listen to the sound of the waves, it almost sounds like breath. It's like, you can imagine that this is Earth breathing. And all you're going to do is you're going to sit and you're going to find the sound of ocean somewhere on a music app, YouTube, any music app you find, and you're going to breathe with the waves. Just breathe with the ocean. And as you drop into gentle breath, you're going to start to see that your focus is no longer on the energy and the things that are going on out here. You're also going to notice that your thoughts in your mind may start out kind of chaos. Love that ego mind. But pretty soon that breath and that tempo is going to start to slow down the rhythm, and you're going to start dropping into the quietness. You're going to start to feel a sense of balance. And if you don't, just practice the breath that I just showed with you. Up, hold it audibly down as you get out of the fight or flight mode and you bring yourself into neutral. This is a really simple, small little technique for meditation. There are many ways to expand into meditation. There are many beautiful sound frequencies that you can find online, again, at YouTube or any music app, that will have a certain resonance. Again, remember, you're all vibrational. So I can play certain frequencies around you, near you, in your ears, and you're going to start to eventually, your field is going to start to resonate to that frequency because it's a stronger frequency. It's a more entrained frequency. Even that will begin to slow you down and pull you from out here and pull you in here. That is meditation. Now, why do we want to pull inside to expand our psychic ability? Because you're not going to be able to hear, see, feel, smell, taste, touch, know energy if you're in the middle of chaos, brain, you're imbalanced in your body, you're not grounded, and or all of your orientation is to the third dimensional world. It's going to be hard for you to notice the energy and then to have enough focus and attention to read the energy and then to receive the information in the translation of the energy. So we talk about growing psychic ability, grounding, and meditation. And meditation could be simple as breath and sound in relaxation and breath and sound. 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes, 5 minutes a day of doing that type of breath work. And you do that consistently for 3 weeks. Oh, you're definitely going to be more psychic. You're definitely going to feel more stuff. You're definitely going to pick up on more stuff. It's impossible that you wouldn't. So as I kind of back us up and kind of walk us back in again, everybody's psychic. All of you have at least more than one psychic ability. Everybody is very unique in how they read energy. And what you want to do is take time to see how you are translating energetic data in your world around you. You want to slow it down to see how am I parsing out that data. And then you will know where you are psychic and you can then expand into that. Now, I have a separate recorded class that I'm going to send to you guys in addition to this recording. And I'll send the recordings, if not tonight, then first thing tomorrow. And that second class, I'm actually talking to a woman by the name of Cynthia Becker. She is a really awesome psychic that I actually go to. She's my psychic. And what I like about Cynthia, she's very rational and logical and very almost sort of scientific in how she's got her data. And she didn't start out psychic, although I would argue she did, meaning she wasn't experiencing herself as psychic, but she was always very sensitive. But she didn't actually drop into her real, true, like bona fide psychic abilities until she was a young mother and had gone through a health scare. So I'm going to share that interview with you in case there's something in her exchange and her sharing that might expand your awareness of yourself. But again, everybody's psychic. You have more than one psychic ability. You can start to reflect on how you are picking up on information around you, and that will lead you towards how you are, what your psychic abilities are. Now, the other thing I want to share with you that will be really helpful for you guys, if you're really serious about expanding into your psychic ability and you want to know more about what happens when you've got too much of that energy versus not enough and all the different ways you can be psychic, there's this awesome book that I love by this woman named Cindy Dale, and I'll show the book here. It's called The Spiritual Power of Empathy, and she's using the word empathy to mean intuition or psychic ability. What I like about Cindy is, first of all, she's just the most amazing psychic. She's really famous. She's written amazing books about all the different ways you can be psychic. But this book, she kind of covers all of the abilities and she kind of talks through how you experience them. So if you guys are still struggling with, I'm not really sure how I'm psychic, this book will help you get very clear on what your clairs are. It'll also walk you through what happens when they're out of balance, how you may experience that, and or when they're underdeveloped and how you may experience that. So I really love this book as a resource. So, psychic ability, growing psychic ability. So, here's the fun thing about psychic stuff. So, somebody really, really smart told me a long time ago that all of the answers in the world are already there. Every answer that you could ever want in the world is already out there. You're not looking for the answers. What you're looking for is the question, because you can't get the answer unless you ask the question properly. And this is a really good place for you guys to start when you are trying to develop your psychic ability. What I mean by that is, so first is that you got to believe that you're psychic. You got to like drop into what your psychic abilities are. And now what we're doing is we're going to be dropping into the other ingredient, which is trust. And when you start using different tools, tap into your psychic ability, what you're really doing is you're establishing trust. You're also establishing what it feels like, how you experience the energy when it comes through you. Because once you experience it and you recognize, wow, when I asked that question and I got that answer and that answer was right, that I felt a certain way when that information came through. And I'm starting to notice every single time I'm asking a question and I'm getting it right, I'm feeling it a certain way, or I'm experiencing it a certain way. This will help you orient more so that when you're out and about and you're just naturally having psychic information come through you, you will be more likely to trust that because you will recognize where it's coming from as opposed to question it. When you have psychic stuff come through and you question it or you don't follow through on it, again, it's kind of like a plant coming through the soil and it's just starting to grow, and then you walk over with it with a boot and kick it, and then you get mad because you don't see the plant growing. So when you're building trust, you have to start with that idea, that thought, I am psychic. And then the next thing is you have to start putting yourself in front of questions so that you can start to experience responses and reading data. I'm going to drop you into, there's so many different tools for doing this. A lot of the ones that you guys are probably really familiar with are like tarot cards, right? I mean, everyone's heard of tarot cards. Tarot cards are a tool, and what they're doing is they're using the symbology that's embedded in the picture and the image and the definition of that image, and they're kind of painting a picture with a spread, and that picture is then going to be translated into information. Those that have advanced themselves using tarot cards are at a point where the pictures are almost kind of sub-level. They're already, when they're flipping the cards, they're already so connected to that language that they're already reading what's happening without even having to look at the little book and figure out what is this trying to say. And as you can imagine, a picture says 1,000 words. So any, different spreads can say a lot of different things. So the tarot cards are just a tool to help you listen in or connect in or connect to the frequency of information. They're a great tool to start with, and they're something that I started with way, 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 way back when. But I'm now on to another tool that's my new favorite, and I love teaching people how to develop their psychic ability using this tool. And the reason I like this tool is because it's simple and clean. This tool is there to give you yes, no answers. Ooh. So you have to get really good at dropping into the right question so that you can align to the exact frequency of the answer. So it really, it requires you to feel a lot into yourself on the question. It requires you to be very balanced and connected when you're getting the information that's coming through. And then because it's a yes, no, it's very verifiable, meaning that you guys can now go out and say, oh my God, I was right. I did this thing and it was right. And that will then just serve to create a stronger sense of connection and belief, and a realization of how does it feel when that information comes through. Now, the tool that I'm referring to is called a pendulum. And if you guys haven't heard or seen a pendulum before, it's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's just a long string or, you know, a long string. And at the bottom of it is a piece, something that's weighted. Now, you guys are going to laugh when I tell you, my very first pendulum was a piece of blue thread attached to a heavy paper clip. And it works. So you don't have to go out and get all like hyper woo woo, that you have to get something that's like, you know, crystal, and it's got to have the right vibe and energy. The energy is the energy that you're going to put into it. It just needs to have a long string, so it's going to bear the weight of something heavy at the end of it. And here's how the pendulum is working. Because you are all energetic, everything about you is energy. All that's happening is you're going to be asking a question. Higher self is going to be moving the energy and the frequency of the answer through your nervous system or your electrical field. And as a result, it moves the pendulum. I know it sounds crazy. And I love, again, I love this as a tool because I love for you guys to see how energetic you are and how your energy is always talking to you. And your higher self is always there to give you the deeper wisdom that you need. Now, here's the thing with the pendulum. What you're wanting to do is you're going to want to use your main hand. If you're left-handed, use your left hand. If you're right-handed, use your right hand. And you're going to want to hold the pendulum so that you're kind of bracing the elbow, because you don't want to be doing this kind of thing because you're not going to really trust the answer. So you're going to want to make sure that you stable your elbow. And truly what you're doing is you're just waiting for energy to move. And I'm going to show you a chart in a minute that you're going to put under the pendulum that will give you the information that you're looking for. But the first thing I want to explain to you is that you are creating a stability in your arm, and you are going to be holding your wrist and your hand still as a statue. What I do before I start any kind of reading that I do with a pendulum is I always say a prayer. And it's not because if I don't pray, something bad or negative is going to get in. It has nothing to do with that. I say a prayer as a grounding tool, as an intention tool, and as a centering device to make sure that I'm in the right frame of mind. And again, I'm going to show you a chart in a second. Again, pendulums do yes, no answers. One of the first questions I always ask my pendulum after I say a prayer, and the prayer again is intentional, present tense, you know, example. May the highest information come through for both me and anyone I'm asking for, and may I be centered enough to receive the balanced answer. Okay, that's just a, I just made that up. You guys can make up whatever prayer you want. It's just an intentional, I call it an invitation with prayer. The first question I always ask is this the right time to be asking a question? Now, here's the fun part. Sometimes that damn pendulum will say no. And I'm telling you, it knows. And I can't tell you how frustrating it is when you really want to know the answer to something. And your pendulum is like, yeah, no, you're not in the right frame of mind right now, meaning that you're not going to get a clear answer. And when it says no, it's like no. So let's look at the chart so you guys understand what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to kind of piece this whole thing together because this is a really awesome tool for you guys. So here's the chart. Okay, so it is a simple circle. Okay, I've done this so many times, guys. I don't even do the circle. It's just, I mean, I could pendulum my whole body. I've had a pendulum swing my body front to back, you know, up and down and left to right. Like, it doesn't even have to be a pendulum. After a while, you are a walking pendulum. But when you start, you're going to make a circle, and you're going to draw a line down the middle, up and down, vertical, right in the middle of the circle, and then horizontal right in the middle. Okay. When the pendulum is swinging vertically, that is yes. When the pendulum is swinging horizontally, that is no. When the pendulum starts to swing in this big circle to the right, and it does sometimes, that's a big yes. And when the pendulum starts to swing to the left in a big circle. That's a big no. Now, what you can't see very clearly, or hope, I don't know if you can see clearly, is if I look at that middle line, vertical, and I look at the horizontal, and I'm in the right quadrant, and I'm looking diagonally, okay? Sometimes your pendulum is going to go diagonally right here. And it's doing that because the answer is more than likely yes, but you haven't quite asked the question right. So it can't give you 100% yes. Or sometimes what it is, it's maybe. The answer is maybe. It's not 100%. And again, I can't emphasize enough how important it is for you guys to drop into the right question. I'm going to explain that in just a second. In the left quadrant, top quadrant, if it goes kind of in between in that diagonal here, then that means more than likely the answer is no. But again, there's some ambiguity either around the question or it's not 100% no, which means that either the time isn't right to get a full answer. It may mean that you haven't asked the question right. It may mean that there isn't a definitive answer. And when you're not sure, ask the pendulum. Again, it's going to give you yes, no answers. So again, I'm going to show you. I would be having the paper underneath my pendulum, okay? And I'll probably just lay it on my lap, but I'm going to hold it up a little so you guys can see. And what I'm going to do is when I first start, I want my pendulum to not be moving. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say a prayer. And what my prayer is just a series of colors. I know that sounds crazy, but it's indigo, white. Oh God, I say it so fast. Anyway, it's a series of colors that I use to clean my pendulum. Okay. Indigo, blue, ice blue, white. Yeah, indigo, ice blue, white. Those are the colors that I always just say indigo, ice blue, white. For some reason, that's just what I say. And that just it just feels to me like I've cleaned my pendulum. But you can start by saying a prayer. And then what you're going to want to say is, in your mind or out loud, is this the right time to be asking a question? Now, can you see my pendulum just swinging like a gate in the breeze? Okay, so what's happening is I've done the pendulum so much. It's like, again, I feel like me and the pendulum are one person, and my whole body and my whole mind is a pendulum now. But when you first start, you're going to ask the question, is this the right time to ask a question? And when you first start this, you have to understand you're establishing a trust relationship with your higher self. You're establishing trust with a part of yourself that you may have either ignored or discounted or blamed. And so you want to be really gentle with yourself. You want to be very kind. You want to be very compassionate. So when you first start, don't yell, don't scream at yourself. Come on, give me an answer. Move this damn thing. You want to just be very kind and gracious. Is this the right time to be asking a question? If the pendulum just barely moves, totally cool. Totally cool. And if you're wanting to have more of a connection with your pendulum, do work with your pendulum after you've done a grounding exercise or some kind of meditation, because you're in a centered place. And you could be practicing with the pendulum for, I don't know, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. You do this consistently over time, and pretty soon you're going to get in the rhythm of how it feels, not only to be connected to your insides, right, to your higher self and be getting that information, but you're also going to be feeling what it feels like when you know there's an answer that's there for you and it's coming through. You might even already know the answer before the pendulum shows you, and you're just going to wait for the pendulum to kind of catch up. Now, the thing about yes, no answers. So just like the universe, when you're trying to manifest something with the universe, be very careful when you're manifesting. I'm joking as I say that, because the universe takes you at your word. I had a woman come in here a couple days ago for a session, and she was all bummed out because she'd been in a relationship with somebody that was horrible and awful. She finally got out of that relationship, and she just decided that she loved Hawaii. She wanted to live in Hawaii, and she wanted to marry a tall Hawaiian man. Well, she married a tall Hawaiian man, and it was a nightmare because she didn't actually put any other stipulation on that. The universe gave her exactly what she asked for. What she really wanted was she wanted a compassionate, loving, kind partner who honored and respected her, who happened to be Hawaiian and tall, and wanted to spend the rest of his life with her in love. That's a more specific request. So when you're asking questions, be specific. Example, am I going to buy a house? Okay, well, that pendulum can be swinging all over the place. And you could be thinking, oh, good, I've got my eye on this house down the street, and that I'm going to buy that house. I'm going to buy that house. And all of a sudden the house comes up for sale, somebody else gets it, and you're like, damn you, pendulum, you gave me the wrong answer. Well, no, because at some point you're going to buy a house, but you didn't ask if you were going to buy that. And even more specific, you didn't ask if you were going to buy that house this year or this month or this week. Do you understand? So the more specific that you are with your questions, the better that your responses and answers are going to be, and the more accurate they're going to be. So when you first start working with the pendulum, you want to start by asking a series of questions that you know the answer to. Example, am I a girl? Or go the other way, am I a boy? Am I 20 feet tall? Do I live in Idaho? These kinds of things. Because what you're doing is you're getting the rhythm of your pendulum so you can feel what it feels like when that energy is coming through. And again, I can't emphasize enough how important it is that you're balanced before you start this. Sometimes you'll watch people doing the pendulum and you can see that they don't like the answer that's coming through. And you can almost see them. They're kind of like trying to move the pendulum. They're trying to, like, you can see their hand moving, and because they don't want to receive the answer. So the thing that you have to be clear about with your pendulum is it's going to want to tell you the truth, but you have to be really ready to receive that. And again, gentle, kind reactions and actions with your pendulum.
Thank you,
The more
pendulum.
you practice dropping in and experiencing the pendulum, you may find, again, remember how we talked about all the different ways you could be psychic? You could be using your pendulum and asking a question and all of a sudden hear an answer, or see something, or feel something, or a combination of these, or taste something, or smell something, or know something. And you're like, oh, wow, I feel like I already know the answer. But you want to stay in neutrality. And again, if you don't think you're in neutral, do about 3 or 4 minutes of breath exercises so you know that you're in that lined up place, and then you can drop in, and then you can ask your questions. If you are tired, if you are stressed, if you are hungry, if you're being pulled in lots of different directions at the time you're trying to ask something to your pendulum, just understand that that's going to affect the ability that you have to read the energy. So you want to make sure that you're in the right frame of mind. Now, in terms of developing some of the other abilities, your psychic senses, for example, if you think your ability is clairaudient, that you hear stuff, but you don't have it as turned on as you would like, what you want to do is you want to practice sitting still and listening. You want to take yourself for a walk, and you want to tune everything out but the subtle sounds of the energy around you, and you want to focus on expanding into your hearing. You want to listen. You want to be listening in a room full of people. Instead of talking so much, you want to quiet yourself. Listen to all the different conversations, listen to people, and listen to what you're experiencing energetically in what you're listening to. And see if you can translate some subtle energy. If you want to expand more your clairvoyancy, then you want to be focusing on noticing things visually. You want to be looking around, and you want to be tuning into visual things and looking at it from the standpoint of, what does that say? What does that mean? And using your visual anchor as a way to absorb and know your arena. Same thing with smell. You want to drop into smell and see how you experience smell. Same thing with taste. Same thing with touch. Feeling. You want to walk into places and say, how does this make me feel? Center yourself. Go within, close your eyes. Feel the energy that's coming through you. How does it make you feel? When you start focusing on these different subtle senses consistently, you're going to grow them. Anything you put attention and focus on expands. So, psychic ability. Why do we want to lean more into our psychic ability? Well, because your five senses are not telling you the whole picture. We are all energetic. So there's lots of things happening energetic that you can't see, taste, touch, or feel with your 3D senses. Navigating your world only using your five senses reminds me of a cartoon I used to watch when I was a kid called Mr. Magoo. It's just an old guy with these Coke bottle glasses, constantly bumping into stuff and falling over stuff. Poor Mr. Magoo, he just couldn't see nothing. And that's what it feels like to me to be navigating the world only using your five senses. If you're meeting somebody for the first time, there's all these projections that you may have based on your own fears or your own ego or your own frame of reference, and you think you have it nailed. And I'll tell you, from all the years I've been doing healing, I never have it nailed. Never. It's not until somebody sits down next to me and I drop into them psychically and I see who they really are, and it never ceases to blow my mind. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. My true feeling is that if everybody would lean more into their psychic ability, it would be impossible for there not to be world peace. Because you would start to feel, know, understand, experience the people, and the places and the things around you in a much different way. Psychic ability, growing your psychic ability expands your vibration of compassion. It expands your vibration of feeling connected as in all is one. And it's not a bumper sticker. You actually start to feel, oh my God, I can feel that tree. Oh my God, I feel that tree. Oh my God, I feel that animal. Oh my God, I feel that person. Oh my God, I feel that. And everything's going to make you feel a oneness. So it creates a sense of connection. In addition to that, tuning into more of your psychic energy is kind of a gateway drug for manifesting. It's being able to expand into your higher thought and start putting energy out there as much as you're picking up on energy, putting energy out there and creating a frequency that will come back to you because you're able to hold attention and focus on something that's subtle. So there's only great things that can come of dropping into more of your innate sensitivity. Now, there are some of you that are terrified of spirits and ghosts. And you think that if you start becoming more sensitive, that you're washed out to sea with all these spirits and ghosts that are all hanging around.
No.
And it's not like that. Have you guys ever had somebody ring your front door and you didn't know who was there?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hide under the covers? Did you go screaming and yelling into a closet? Did you start having, PTSD? Did you start shaking and tremoring? Or did you just answer your front door?
Answer the front door.
You just answer the front door. And let's say somebody's standing out there you don't know, and they're like, hey, I'm selling vacuum cleaners. And you're like, cool, dude. Don't really want vacuum cleaners today, but super groovy that you came by. Like, thanks. And you close your front door, and that's the end of it. Or you're like, oh my God, I totally love vacuum cleaners. I've been looking for a vacuum cleaner. This is a sign from the gods. Please come in and show me your vacuum cleaners. That's kind of the experience when you're dealing with subtle energy of anything or anyone who may have crossed over. And it's not a foregone conclusion that just because you're dropping into more of your psychic ability, that you're going to start having the I see dead people experiences. At the very least, however, wouldn't it be jammy for you to feel the frequency of angels, your guardians, your guides, people that are in your field to help you move heaven and earth to make your dreams happen. Wouldn't it be lovely to know that you were
Hmm.
supported, loved, heard, felt, seen, cared for in the biggest way? So, what I'll tell you is this: you are a free will agent. You get to decide when, who, and how. I've had so many experiences with non local beings, so many, in every flavor you could possibly imagine. And never have I had something that was what I would call terrifying, except for my own mind, what my own mind did to that experience, what my own mind did. I'm going to tell you a story just to give you guys an idea of how far it can go. And I'm not telling you this because I want you to be afraid. Um, and I'm not telling you this because I'm telling you this is where you're headed. I just want you to understand how we create drama and trauma and fear when there doesn't need to be. So when I was pregnant with my daughter, she's 17 now, so it's been a minute. I was living in Peru. I was living in Lima, Peru. And there are a lot of history in Lima, Peru, can I tell you? Okay. A lot of stuff, a lot of places there have a lot of really crazy juju, as you can possibly imagine. And as a highly sensitive being, I'm not immune to that. And I was living at the time in my husband's house and with his family, because that's the way they do it in a lot of Spanish cultures. Everybody kind of lives together. And so it's a huge house, multiple layers. And they had some design in the center of their house. It was a big pyramid made out of stained glass, pyramid up and a pyramid down. And I was like, when I first came to the house, the very first time I went, ooh, wow, okay, that's pretty strong energy. And sure enough, swear to God, that house was a portal. I mean, I'd be sitting in the bed watching TV, and the door to the bedroom, it looked like a bus station. Shoot, 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 shoot. All the spirits were in the house just cruising by that door. And I was like, wow, even me, even Cara, who's like super ballsy in the non local realm, even I was like, damn, that's a lot of spirit. But one night, I was probably 6 months pregnant. Okay, so I was showing and I was having stress at the time. I was all worrying about being a new mom and, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? The things that happen when you're pregnant for the first time. And all of a sudden, in this house, everybody had a TV in their room and everybody had fallen asleep with their doors open. And all these TVs were on in different levels of the house. Okay, loud, loud, loud. And I woke up out of a dead sleep, and I have this spirit dog. Sounds really crazy and woo woo, but I have a spirit dog that's been with me for many lifetimes. He's ginormous, and that guy will bark and make a lot of sound when some shit's about ready to go down. And he started barking, and I'm like, oh, shit's about ready to go down. So I woke out of a dead sleep hearing my spirit dog bark, and I went, ooh, something will happen. And sure enough, all of a sudden there's this pop, like boom, and all the electricity in the house went like this, boom, and everything went pitch black. I then feel and hear psychically somebody walking into the room. I literally could hear steps. I could feel movement of body. I mean, it was like rich. And I'm starting to feel my body going faster than the speed of light, going into like, oh my God, something's, oh my God. And I'm telling my body, don't be afraid, because your body goes faster than the speed of light in fight or flight. And I said, don't be afraid. Everything's fine. Nobody's going to hurt you. Everything's okay. Somebody walks all the way up. I mean, I can hear them. Then I feel literally like a hand slip underneath my hand and feel the physicality of the hand take my hand, and somebody lean down over me. I could feel someone leaning down over me, and their long hair was on my face and my chest. And I was so proud of myself because I wasn't having an absolute aneurysm of fear. I was like, okay, don't freak out. This is totally cool. This is so awesome. I'm having such an encounter right now. This is so freaking rad. And I say in my head, hi, so happy you're here. I'm so grateful that you're able to present yourself as richly and as physically as you are. Can you share with me what your name is? Now, I'm clairaudient, okay? And if you've ever heard a recording that is slowed down enormously, it sounds like this. like that. And if it's really fast, it sounds like this, like that. So as soon as I asked the question in my mind, the head comes down closer, and in my ear, I hear like that. And that was it. I freaking flipped. I mean, my body couldn't contain it anymore. And I went, oh my God. And my whole body was just vibrating with fear. And as soon as you could snap a finger, everything went, and all the lights in the house came back on, all the TVs came back on, and all the energy was gone. And I was sitting there literally almost vibrating off the bed with all of the adrenaline of what had happened. Now, damn it, Janet, if I'd had my wits about me, I would have recognized that the energy and the frequency of that sound was getting flattened by the different frequencies of the dimensions. And this person was coming to comfort me around the birth of my baby. And I realized that after the fact, I felt her care, I felt her tenderness, I felt her compassion, I felt her deep desire to want to reassure me that everything was going to be okay. She'd even kissed me on the cheek. But because my fear got the better of me, I flipped out. Now, was that person hurting me? Nope. Was that a bad experience? Nope. Did my fear like run away with me? Yep. So I'm a very unusual person, just because of the nature of how I'm wired. So the likelihood that any of you guys are going to have anything like that happen to you, very tiny. But what I'm wanting to share with you in that story is for you to understand there's nothing to be afraid of. Everything is energy, and you can say, I'm done, and then it's done. So for those of you who are afraid to grow your psychic ability because you do not want to connect into something that you can't see, taste, touch, or feel, you're going to need to get more grounded in what it is to connect into energy in general. And watch yourself throughout the course of your day of how many people that you walk up to that are strangers that you have exchanges with and you're not afraid. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So I know that we have the luxury, because we're on Zoom, that if you guys have questions, you can ask me questions. And I'll be more than happy to take some questions now if you choose. And if nobody has questions, then I'll say awesome sauce. And I will make sure that we wrap this up, and I will send you the recording so you can listen to it later. But I'd like to open up for questions in case you guys have any, so I can help you on your expansion. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Cara, it's Lucy. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. I'm just in a weird body reception area.
No worries.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask about, like, you talking about the opening up to the psychic ability and then being a gateway to manifesting. But is there a reason? I mean, do you recommend that you kind of take it in a step by step, or work on both at the same time? Because
You can work on both at the same time, because both of them are they're kind of twin souls. Manifesting is accessing and connecting into your electrical magnetic field and getting really clear with the energy that you're putting out so that you can magnetically draw that which you're wanting to pull towards you. And all the same tips and tools that we're using to grow our psychic ability, which is just reading energy, right? It will further you along in your manifesting. In fact, you will see that as you're going down the path of manifesting, you'll like have all these prompts, like, some people will use it and say, oh, I'm going to manifest a business, right? And all of a sudden they're like really jamming into their psychic ability and they're manifesting. And it's almost like they're on the river and the current's just taking them. They're like, oh, they wake up and they're like, oh, I have a feeling I need to make that call today, or I need to avoid that person, or I need to expand that experience, or I need to get that money. And all of a sudden it's like they're manifesting along with using their psychic energy, if that makes any sense.
It does. That's so cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it is. honestly, guys, if we just flatten this all out to energy, it is honestly the most insanely awesome thing in the planet. Do you know that you guys can do like, I do remote healing. How am I able to do remote healing? How am I able to be here and somebody's way over wherever they are and I don't even see their face and I'm able to tune into them? It's because there's no time and space and we're all part of the same energetic universal field. I just have to have an anchor of whatever their name is, and that just gets me into their field, and as soon as I get there, I can start to feel them and experience them. So like if you have a loved one or children and you're like, oh, I want to make sure they're okay. And if you're calm and balanced, you're always able to connect into their field. And it just makes navigating things so much easier. I have a daughter who's 17. She's driving, you know. I just tune in with her at night and I'm like, oh, she's good. I don't have to worry about her. And then there's sometimes I tune in with her. I'm like, oh, I need to worry about her. And I'm never wrong. And as soon as I use that ability, it just makes things easier for me. Okay, so any other questions that I can answer for anybody else? Okay, guys, here's what I'm going to say. Best thing you could possibly do in your life is to expand into more of how you were wired. Your architecture is for sensitivity. Your architecture is for all your senses. Your architecture is that. The more you lean into that, the more you're going to be able to actualize your highest path for yourself. And I want to remind you that the reason I offer this free class is because I'm front loading on this amazing course that I'm launching in May. It's a 6-week course. It's all self-paced, tons of classes, guys. I want to say that there's almost 30 classes taught by like 6, 7, 8 people that are amazing, brilliant teachers. And all we're doing in this course through the 6 weeks is we are breaking down all the tools and tips and approaches that you can use to expand yourself in the most amazing way so you can actualize yourself on the soul level. It's plug and play, so you can go at your own pace, but every Sunday at 4 o'clock throughout the course of that 6 weeks, and it launches May 2nd, and it goes to, I think, June 12th or something. Every Sunday at 4 o'clock, there'll be a private Facebook page, and anybody who signs up for it's going to be on that private page. And at that time, every Sunday, I'm going to go on a Facebook Live, and I will be joining you, answering questions, helping to get you guys further along your path, and or having some of the guest teachers come into those Q&A sessions to answer some questions you might have. We are dropping into some of the most delicious, juicy topics and details in the course. If you're interested in it, in the email, just go and check the link out online. But at the very least, take away from this class today how important it is for you to drop into more of your sensitivity. If you guys have challenges or questions around, Cara, I'm not really sure how I'm psychic, just schedule a 15-minute session with me or schedule a half an hour session with me, and I'll be more than happy to connect in with you and let you know. If I've already met with you before, more than likely in our initial recording, I usually will tell people how they're psychic because it's something I feel passionately about. I just think, again, the world would be a much better place if we all just dropped into who we really were meant to be. Any other questions, guys, before I close our session today? And again, thank you so much for being patient with all that technical hoo-ha. I'm so grateful you guys showed up here. But any other questions before we end the call?
I had a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I had a question about dropping into our abilities. I'm still feeling very blocked.
Yeah.
And doing all the meditation, all of that. Can you being in physical pain block you from your abilities? Because I'm having back surgery in a couple of weeks, and I'm in so much physical pain.
Yes, it can. It can. But I'll tell you this. Once you get a little further down the pathway, I mean, dropping in now might be challenging for you because your attention and focus right now is in a lot of other places, and there might be some scatteredness and fracturedness and some fear. And you can do the meditation and the grounding practices to help you like align up, but you're in the middle of doing something major with the surgery. But once you get through the surgery, okay, and let's say you start dropping into it consistently, just know that once you actually start growing that ability, it will not shut down on you when you're having a surgery. It will not shut down on you when you're in trauma. In fact, if anything, you'll get to the point where you'll know immediately how to take yourself to that place of centeredness, regardless of the chaos that's going around you, and pull yourself right in. Now,
Okay.
another tip, you guys, that I want to share with you that I'm doing right now to actually grow my psychic ability. Again, psychic ability, it's unlimited. It can go, 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 go. And I mentioned before that when I was a kiddo, I had lots of visual, and then I freaked out. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to see all that shit. I try to break it. And now I'm like hyper hearer, hyper feeler, and my visual is kind of like this. So I've been trying to grow my visual. And the tool that I've been using to get out from underneath all of the patterns and imprints and the trauma that I had as a kiddo is something called biofield tuning. And they're just tuning forks, okay? There's actually a wonderful website called electrichealth.com. It's run by a gal named Eileen McCusick. She's super famous, and she's the godmother of biofield tuning. And on that website, there's a tab on there where you can kind of pull the pull down menu, and it'll show you biofield tuners that have taken her course and are really advanced, that are all over the world. And I highly recommend going to one. Why? Well, okay, we're all energetic. And what biofield tuning is doing is they have mapped out, kind of like acupuncture, in both your electrical field, your physical field, and your subtle fields, all the points where there might be stuck energy. And what they're doing is they'll play the fork, and it literally looks like a big pronged silver thing, okay? And there's all different sizes and frequencies. And they're going to play that sound or tune at different points in the field, and they can hear, and you can hear it when it's off. And then when something's off, it just means that there's stuck emotion or stuck energy in that point in your field. So they will continue to play the balanced sound or frequency in that spot until that stuck energy releases.
Ah.
It's insane. When they work on the right side of you, so they'll go 10 feet out on the right side of you, that's the first half of your life. And then they go to the body, and then they're going to work from the midline to the left side 10 feet, and that's the second half of your life. They'll be sitting there banging around somewhere way over there in the room, and they're like, you had a really hard time at 3. It sounds like you had this, that, and the other happen. It's sitting here stuck in your field, and you're like, your mouth will go, what? You can see that in my field? That's crazy. And the way that your field looks like, picture a physical body, and then picture an apple, okay? Think of an apple, and think of the core of the apple, and see how the apple just kind of bends around that core, okay? Well, the way your field looks is like that. You're in the center, your body is the core, and all of your energy is circling around like that beautiful apple shape, and it's looping back and up and back and up and back and up. So when you have stuff stuck in the field, either in the body or out of the field, understand that it can't complete that cycle. And so then you're going to experience the wonkiness. And we all come wired with trauma, because welcome to being a human. You know, none of us made it out of childhood with 100% star on our forehead. We all had stuff, right? So instead of getting lost in the emotion of it, what I love about biofield tuning is it's not talk therapy, and it's not like emotional redress. It is basically going to the root cause, and it's moving the energy. Now, once you move the energy, like when you wear braces on your teeth, if you take the braces off and you don't wear the retainer, teeth are going to go back to the way they were. So once you get the biofield tuning, what you want to do is you want to then fortify that with balanced tools. You want to fortify it with grounding, meditation. You want to continue your own understanding consciousness as you're growing more of yourself and awareness. So it's not like I sit back in a Barca lounge or just do me and I'm healed. I don't have to do anything by myself. But it does move a lot of energy very fast, and it will help you get through the doorway into the next step of yourself. So there are lots of energetic tools to help you expand into more of your field. Reiki is one of them, which is the modality that I use. Sound baths, acupuncture, color therapy. Gosh, I mean, there's a whole, like, the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. And as you become more aligned, your natural ability, your natural psychic ability is going to come on. Then, though, you're a free will agent. You then get to decide, do I choose to listen to this, or do I choose to see this or experience this, or do I choose to ignore it? And if you keep ignoring it, then eventually it's going to get really like small in terms of its frequency for you, because you've already told yourself it doesn't matter to me. Whereas the opposite is true when you're saying, I choose to listen to that, where you're on the freeway and everything says, get off the freeway, there's going to be an accident. And you're like, I don't have time to get off the freeway. And you keep going and you hit a roadblock. Damn, I should have listened to myself. And the next time you're like, I don't care what it costs me. I'm following my intuition because I want to grow that experience, and I'm going to choose my own ending here and see where it takes me. And the more that you're choosing to listen, the stronger those prompts are going to be. And the more that you're not going to have to listen or look so clearly or feel so clearly or think so clearly or question it. It's just going to be there. I mean, I'm at the point now with the pendulum where it's like, pendulum, like I don't even need the pendulum, right? I mean, but when I first started growing my ability, I loved being able to zero in on something that was very physical, where I could see something happening, and then I could test the answers, so I could start growing my own wisdom and belief, but also so I could start feeling what do I feel like when those answers come through. And I got to the point where I knew, man, I knew when I picked up that pendulum, I'm like, oh man, Cara, you are not ready for the answers that are going to come through. You just want them to tell you what you want to hear right now. And I would know the difference. So, so yes, I hope I answered your question. But let me know if you have anything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. You guys, is there anything else I can answer for anybody else before we close out our class today? Thank you from the bottom of my heart, you guys, for showing up. Thank you so much for caring about your own sensitivity. And thank you guys. I'm just going to foreshadow and say you guys are all going to drop into this. Let me know if you have any problems or questions as we move forward. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And again, thank you for putting up with all the technical woo-woo that I had at the front end of this. So I'm going to get this all packaged up and make it look pretty. I will send this recording to you guys. If not tonight, then I will send it to you tomorrow. So in case you want to review any of the stuff on the pendulum, you can have that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So
have
much.
a beautiful
Thanks,
rest
Cara.
of your Sunday.
Thank you.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.